What's going on, everybody, and welcome to my first ever movie review. I've actually been planning on doing this for a while now, but not gonna lie, my laziness kept causing me to push it back. After the Shazam and Aquaman trailers were released, I was motivated to review the movie that kickstarted the DC Extended Universe, and that is of course Man of Steel. I read a tweet that said in 2013, Man of Steel, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Wolverine, and Kick-Ass all came out, but only one of them is still discussed about to this day. So hate it or love it, there's really no denying the fact that this movie did leave a pretty big impact on the comic book movie genre. Now it does receive a lot of criticism, so the question I'm hoping to answer today is, does it really deserve it, or are people just hating on this movie for no good reason? Since this movie came out a while ago, this review will contain spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie yet, go watch it and then come back to my review. So the movie starts off on Krypton, and when you're doing an origin story like this, you kind of have to be very careful because most people are already familiar with Superman's story. You know how everybody already knows that Batman's parents were killed and that led to him becoming Batman, and that Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider and that his uncle died? Well, everybody kind of already knows that Superman's planet blew up and that he was sent to Earth on a spaceship. So how exactly do you take that story and still tell it in a way that's interesting? Well, that's when Zack Snyder's visuals really do come in play. The way he visioned Krypton was just amazing. The landscapes, the animals, everything about it was just stunning. Say what you want about Zack Snyder, but that man knows how to open up a movie. After the opening scene, we get to see the man himself, Clark Kent. Now, something that has always bothered me is the fact that so many people claim the Man of Steel does not do a good job at showing Clark doing heroic acts. I completely disagree because there are many examples of Clark saving people throughout the movie. The very first scene of him is literally him saving people from a fire. Later on, we get to see a flashback scene of him saving a bus filled with kids, and he even goes back to rescue somebody who constantly bullied him. Now that's something that many people would not do, and if that's not a hero, then I don't know what is. We also see him saving Lois's life twice, we see him saving Martha Kent, and we see him saving a soldier in the final battle scene. He even saves millions of lives by destroying the world engine. Most of the flashback scenes show the relationship between Clark Kent and his dad. His dad knows that if Clark were to use his powers, and if people found out about them, they would do anything to kill him or experiment on him. That's why he tells his son that he cannot use his powers yet and that the world is not ready to see him. Now let's move on to the second most controversial scene in the movie, and that's the tornado scene. Now I don't really have an issue with this scene, but I understand why people do. They're like, why doesn't Clark just go up there and save his dad? It's really that simple. Well, Clark knows that if he were to do that, everybody would find out that he has powers, and that would not end well. Also, Clark doesn't really view his powers as a gift, he views them as a curse. He kind of thinks that it makes him a monster, because his dad kept telling him not to use it. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Clark surrenders. It kind of reminded me of that Justice League Unlimited episode when the founding members surrendered themselves to the US custody. Now, Zack Snyder is extremely obsessed with making sure that all of his movies are realistic. If Superman were to exist in our world, we would not welcome him with open arms. We would all be afraid because we know that he has the power to easily kill us. And that's why he surrenders. He wants to make sure that he can gain their trust. He can easily break out of those handcuffs, but he chooses not to. He knows that if he were to do that, everybody would turn their back against him and they would not know that he's a good guy. He wants them to know that he is on their side and that he isn't with the Kryptonians. Since I've been spending so much time defending this movie, I think it's time to move on to my problems with it. And honestly, I had 3 issues with it. My first issue was with Lois Lane. Now look, Amy Adams is a fantastic actress. There's a reason why she has an Oscar. But I just wasn't really feeling her character in the movie. I think the way she was written was just very bland, and her chemistry with Henry Cavill's Superman just didn't really exist. My second issue with the movie would be journalist Clark Kent, that final shot we get. Look, I love Clark as a journalist, and I thought in the sequel it was going to be explored. But after watching BVS and finding out that that's kind of impossible, not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. And my third issue with it, which is my biggest issue with it, is the last action scene because it's just way too long. With most action movies, there's an action scene in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. But with this movie, it's all in the end. And that's a huge problem, because it gets to the point where people are like, can we just get back to the story now? Though it did end off on a really good note when Clark destroys the world engine. I thought that was an awesome scene, and it was probably my second favorite scene right after the first flight scene, which I loved so much. Overall, I think The Man of Steel is a pretty good movie that did have a few issues. Should they have given Henry Cavill a few more lines? Yeah, probably. Should they have given Lois Lane a more interesting storyline? Definitely. But I don't like how people choose to ignore all of the good things it's done and only focus on the bad. For example, the cinematography was amazing. The score was amazing. The villain was amazing. And the action sequence, though it was a little too long, still looked pretty awesome. I hope that my review helped you see this movie in a different light and understand that it doesn't really deserve all of the hate that it gets. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe for more. I'll see you all later.